Yo, welcome back to the No Bullshit Podcast. It's Coughlin.
Yo, what's up, it's Kyle.
And yeah, man, it's been a minute. It's been a minute, and there's so much to catch up on, as you guys may already know. The NFL season is already over, and now we're heading into Wildcard Weekend. But before we can get into Wildcard Weekend, we got to talk about how our teams are going, how our teams are doing as we're getting into the playoffs. So Kai, start us off.
Yeah, man. Kind of picking up, off the back of the last episode we uploaded. Um, you know, we talked about kind of these last final five or so games and kind of how important they were in terms of, making the playoffs, seeding, everything in between. And I remember I talked about two games in particular. Our game against the Eagles and our game against the Chiefs. And I said in order for us to, make the playoffs, we're going to have to at least split those games. And best case scenario, we won both of those games. Both really close games, both really good teams and matchups. And we, secured our spot, in the playoffs. Winning those games and put us in a position to where, if we beat the Houston Texans, then that would set up a Week 18 matchup with the Denver Broncos, possibly for the division and much more, right? Unfortunately, we dropped both those games, so it kind of put that to a squash. But to be honest, that Houston game, we were in it. It was a lot of things didn't go our way. 4-point loss, and ultimately that kind of made Week 18 kind of pointless. It was kind of a fourth preseason game for us.
Yeah.
Got to see some rotation guys get some minutes, so that was good. Rested a lot of starters, so hopefully going into this wild card matchup with number 2 seed New England. Hopefully, a lot of our guys can be as healthy as they possibly can be. Some injury reports. Amari Hampton, he's missed the last two practices, with an ankle problem. So hopefully, come game time, he's able to suit up, because that would be a major loss not having him out there. Already probably going to be missing Kamani Vidal. So,
Ooh, that's
missing both
tough.
our top running backs into this game, it wouldn't be good for this offense.
Who's your third string running back? If both can go.
I guess it would be like Hassan Haskins, who's like mainly a special teamer, and Jared Patterson, who's pretty much been on our practice squad this entire season. So not great options going into this game. You know what I mean? We already struggle on offense. So going into New England with already another handicap, you're asking a lot of this team.
But I will say this though, and we'll get into it further when we get into the wild card rounds and stuff, and talk about specific key matchups. But I think the one thing that you guys might have advantage over a team like New England is probably experience in the playoffs. Where you have a Jim Harbaugh who's been there and done it, right? I mean, he hasn't won a Super Bowl, but he's definitely been there, I guess one time, and has playoff success in general, right? I mean, Justin Herbert, although he hasn't won a playoff game yet, he has been there, right? So, and it's a defense where led by Jesse Minter, where anything can happen, and
Yeah.
I know the Patriots defense is it's great. They have great discipline, but
Mhm.
when you break it down to one on one, just the talent in general, they're not the greatest assembly of talent. They're just really good coached, right? But we'll get into that a little bit later, right? But yeah, switching over back to the Niners, it's been a really interesting season to say the very least, because my thoughts ever since that second time we played against the Rams where we got blown out, I was like, "Ah, it's over. It's over. All hell is breaking loose. Players are starting to get injured every now and then, like every game, even in practice or even not practicing, right? They just find a way to get injured. Over these last, I guess, 5 games, we've seen this team be able to rally some wins and some pretty impressive wins, right? Where although we have a mediocre to bad defense, let's just call it what it is. Our offense has been stepping up. Like
Big,
you're
big
talking
time.
about, a quarterback in Brock Purdy where he's been on fire.
He's been on
You
the
know?
burner.
Yeah, I got some stats here for you. Kai loves his stats. Kai loves his stats. So, in these past, I'd say the past 9 games, or just in 9 games in general, throughout the whole season, the games he's played this season, he's had 23 total touchdowns.
Yeah,
That's insane for only
it's
nine
big
games,
time.
right? And if you do like sometimes people do like over a season split, he's on track to have like 40 total touchdowns, which is insane,
Hmm.
right?
This is the perfect time of the year to get hot.
Exactly, right. And and not including right before the Seahawks game, he had 2 back-to-back 5 touchdown games. One being against the Bears and the other one against the Colts. And I know, it's the competition that we're facing necessarily the best. No, but at the same time, you gotta be who's in front of you, and
Yeah.
we're injured everywhere, right? And I think that's like similar to the Chargers. All this credit got to go to the coaching staff. Like Kyle Shanahan, what he's been able to rally the troops on offense, whether he has missing pieces and in and out the lineup, along with Robert Sala, who you know he's single handedly keeping this thing together. Like I don't know how he's doing it, and we'll get into this again until like the when we get the wild card matchups where the Niners are playing the Eagles, but heading to this into the matchup against the Eagles, we have zero linebackers from the starting day roster. I'm talking about first string, second string, third string, and fourth string. Like it's just insane, right? But we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, the story of the season in general has just been offense got to carry us, and the defense has to carry us, and the defense has to. I guess they have to be an opportunistic defense in a sense, because like I will say this: although the defense is really bad, they have shown flashes where they can get a stop here and there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know. This could have been just a divisional game where it's always a close game, right? But holding a Seahawks offense to 13 points is pretty impressive. If you right, and yes, did they miss two like pretty close field goals? Yeah, but that's part of the game, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, defense has shown it's flashes, and this is a young defense, like I said, right, where you got many guys on the defense, where whether they're like rookies, second year guys, or even practice squad guys at this point, right? Especially on all over like the linebacker positions, the D line. Don't even get me started with the D line because I'm pretty much everybody knows this by now that look, Miles Garrett, who is going to be the defensive player of the year, he has more sacks than the whole Niners defense. That's insane.
Wow.
Like he just broke the record. I think he has what is it?
Wow.
It's a record 23 sacks now or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
right?
23.
Yeah, brother, we have like 19 or something like that,
That's
bro,
crazy.
for the season.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's that bad. It's that bad. You don't know how bad it is in terms of pass rush wise when you dive into the
Mm-hmm.
stats, bro, because it's just insane, right?
You want to know what's so interesting about, this year in terms of like the Chargers and the 49ers? Like, if you like, it's something you said earlier about like, the offense has to carry us. Like, if you look back at both these teams in like 2021,
Mm,
completely flipped.
yes,
Completely flipped.
exactly.
Like, because back then, man, it was a lot of 45 to 44 losses for the Chargers, man. It was a lot of shootouts. It was a lot of, listen, our defense can't stop anything, so our offense is going to have to drop 50, right? And now we're in a position now where, man, when we'll talk about, the matchups that we have in the wild card round, but like, It's all season. It's really been, defense, please save us because our offense can't get a first down. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, putting the defense in terrible field position, and week in and week out, our defense, getting interceptions, getting turnovers, getting sacks. Like Jesse Minter has man, if there was like an assistant coach of the year award, I don't know how it is not him, man. Like he has completely, revived that side of the ball where, again, we'll talk about it more in depth, but looking at this next matchup against New England, our only shot at winning this game is going to be, a defensive, slugfest.
And it's really important that you brought that up too, because like, in terms of like characteristically, when you look at like our franchise history, right? The Niners always have a good defense going to the playoffs, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what, right? And it's been that story in the past, I guess, like 5 years or so, 6 years or so, where like the defense has been the one to carry the offense a little bit, and defense, or just in general, the defense has always been better than the offense, no matter how well the offense has been doing, right? But coming into this season, I already had a mindset that the offense got to put up points because, like I said, it's a very young defense. Because
Mm-hmm.
John Lynch, since last year and this year, well, in the past 2 seasons, he's drafted a lot of guys on the back end, right? There's a lot of guys drafted on the back end where we have to let some guys go, and it's kind of like being a part of when you have that rookie quarterback with that with that type of salary, you can only do so much, right? To like make the roster as best as possible. When we had Traveris Ward, when we had a Chase Young or a D4 back then, right? Or when we had like a few weapons on the outside with Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel, and like a couple other guys, Emmanuel Sanders, even when we made that trade. But right now, we don't have that type of luxury where we had to let some of those guys go, and in order to and this is how you become a great team. You go from a good to a great team where your GM is able to draft good guys and be able to develop them. You know what I'm saying? And so, with that being said, you know, playoff time, playoff time, right? And what better way to start it off? I mean, do you want to start off with our each other's matchups, or you want to start off with on Saturdays coming up in 2 days, or
Yeah, you guys play Sunday or Saturday?
we play Sunday?
Okay, okay,
We
we
play
do
right
too.
before you guys.
Yeah, I'm saying if I'm not mistaken, I think they have us slated as the Sunday. Yeah, they got us slated at Sunday night matchup, which, all eyes on us.
Yeah,
So I'll let you take it away first, since you guys played before us. You know, rematch against the Eagles, man. It's a big time game, rivalry game, man.
it is a big time game. I do think that like over like I will say this: there's never been a Niners Eagles rivalry ever, right? But ever since these past like couple years, these past 3 years, right? There's been something brewing, right? And this is some type of stuff that I really like. Where like you develop some new rivalries because you guys are both they're two of the most successful teams, and I
Yeah,
guess like in the past decade, if you
mm.
want to say,
And in the NFC, 100%.
yeah. Right. And so they're just bound to meet each other in the playoffs at this point.
Mm.
It's funny because like I feel like every time we play each other, we're never healthy. And the one time we were healthy, we always had that whole controversy about what if Brock Purdy stayed in the game. But look, I'm not the type of guy to dwell in the past. I'm not. So but yeah, this is a rivalry game.
Yeah.
No matter how you want to put it, and it's a game where it's so iffy. It's so iffy because
Hmm.
it's one of those things where the Niners where I want to say that I have confidence in my team, right? And I'm not saying that like I'm not saying I'm gonna pick against my team, but do I have
Hmm.
faith in my team to win? Probably not. I'm gonna be honest, right?
Hmm.
And look, I'm an honest guy, right? And so it's mainly because the Eagles defense is really good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you're telling me with the Eagles, had to sit back, watch on Saturday night football against the Seahawks. Look what
Hmm.
happened there. The Seahawks have the number one defense, but the Eagles are not that far off. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But so I'm Vic Fangio. I'm the Eagles players on I'm all the Eagles players on defense. I'm low key licking my chops. I'm like, okay, we could do something with this. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, although our defense sucks, their offensive coordinating situation sucks as well. You get like every like I'm pretty sure every Eagles fan, especially in our in our own group chat that we have, yeah, the amount of things they said about the what Kevin
Yep.
Patullo,
Mm-hmm.
it should be left in a group chat. Let's just say that.
Yeah, yeah. For legal reasons, yes.
Yeah, yeah. But no, yeah, yeah. The only reason I think we have a chance is because I think that Robert Saleh can outcoach Kevin Patullo,
Okay.
right? I think from that, like in order for us to win this game, we
Mm-hmm.
have to outcoach them in every phase of the
Yeah.
football, whether it's from offense, defense, and special teams.
Mm-hmm.
Point point blank. Because no matter what, like even though their defense is so good, right, and they'll give the ball back as many times to the offense, and that's why
Yeah.
the Eagles offense has so many tries to put up points or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And although I'm saying that the Eagles offense isn't really all that, they still
Mm-hmm.
have the talent to do it. They have the number
For
one,
sure.
I'm pretty sure they're number one in cap space for towards the offense. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure, right?
They
Where
got players.
we're I guess if you really want to say it, they have a all pro type of player at every position, if you want to
Yeah.
put it like that, right?
Yeah.
And what nothing personnel wise, nothing has changed from last year. It's just the
Mm-hmm.
offensive coordinator situation, right? But yeah, it's the key thing is that we have to stop Saquon Barkley. Although he hasn't done that bad this year,
Mm-hmm.
or he hasn't done as good as last year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's You have to stop the run because if
Yeah.
there's one thing the Eagles and the Niners are very similar, they want to establish the run, right? And if you establish that run, it's GG's because we seen
Mm-hmm.
it against the Seahawks and the Colts and the Bears and stuff like that. And I'm kind of surprised with the Colts and Bears where like they didn't try to run the ball more because it's been effective, right? They just started like, you know what, this pass defense sucks. I'm just gonna pass all over the defense. But my thing is that look, if you pay attention to the Seahawks, Sam Darnold, he didn't do nothing too crazy. He just handed the ball off for the most part, right? And let
Don't get
the
me started on the Seahawks.
but no, but yeah, the key is just to stop Saquon Barkley, and for CMC to get it rolling, right?
Mhm.
Because if my thing is that like if CMC gets rolling, Brock Purdy plays a lot better for
Yep.
sure,
Yep.
right? And it's all about rhythm thing, and a lot of people want to go. It's going to make it about Purdy versus Hurts. That's not how it works, guys. It's just really not how it works. It's two really different circumstances. One guy. I mean, if you really want to talk about it, right? One guy is going up against a top three defense, and the other guy is going up against a bottom three defense. Like all I'm saying, right? Look, look. All I'm saying is that if that numero if all I'm saying is if numero uno does not put up at least 30 points and we win,
That's a bad look.
conversation
That's a
will
bad
be
look.
said.
There will be some off season conversations.
Oh yeah, for sure. But Kai, how you feeling about your matchup against the Patriots Sunday Night Football?
Well, you know, it's actually kind of interesting, right? So, I feel like we both have similar sentiments in terms of our teams. Like, we're both very honest, and we're going to speak on, what we see, the product we see on the field, always going to be pulling for our teams. But I feel very similar to you. Like, I don't think that we win this game. I mean, it's hard. It's a hard ask, right? Like, these last three times we've been in the playoffs, we've been wildcard teams matching up against division winning teams, right? So that's we're an underdog team. These all three matchups, we've been the underdog going into it. With that being said, I feel like of all the options outside of playing the Steelers, this is probably our best matchup, like stylistically wise, on paper. Like don't get me wrong, Drake May, he's been balling out of his mind. Like he is a
Hmm.
stud.
MVP.
I wouldn't go that far. But he should be in all pro conversations. Like, what I mean? I definitely believe he should be, second team all pro. I think, Stafford first team, him second team. That's what makes sense to me. Right? Like, and I remember coming out of that draft, him, Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels, like I really felt like you could not go wrong with either three of them, right? Like if I was a team that needed a quarterback, those, if I settle at the pick number three with Drake May, like I'm not mad, right? Like if I could take Caleb Williams, like all those guys, I feel like they're going to be studs going forward in this league. So he's nothing to scoff at, right? But I feel like looking at the Patriots, there's a couple chinks in the armor, right? Like there's a couple weaknesses, going throughout this season, right? Like everybody's been saying, the number one thing, that strength of schedule, right? If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if we made a video about it, but I mentioned it going into the season. I said I would not be surprised if the Patriots were, won a lot of games this season. It didn't going into the season, looking at the schedule. It didn't. There weren't a lot of guys. There weren't a lot of teams that really, struck fear in you, right? The reality is they beat up on a lot of bad teams. Um, something you said earlier and something I also agree with. You can only play who's in front of you, right? The Chargers were schedule merchants last season, right? We also beat up on a lot of teams. We had a last place schedule, so you know now was the time to show. Okay, are you guys the real deal, or was all the schedule talk valid, right? So like you said, that defense very similar to our defense. Now we do have some names on our defense, but it's a lot of just scheme work. It's a lot of, guys being coached up the right way, guys being in the right places, guys playing their roles and not doing too much, not, always looking for the big play, guys just doing their jobs. It's gonna be hard moving the ball against that defense. The best thing about that defense is they don't have a crazy pass rush, right? So that has been the Achilles heel of this offense is the offensive line, right? Like the reality is it's hard for me to with a straight face and honestly say with how bad this offensive line is, it's a tough ask for you to go on the road in Foxborough where it's going to be cold and maybe raining or snowing for you to, come out there with a win. Right? But I feel like obviously if Amari Hampton is healthy and he's able to go, that definitely improves our chances. This would be the perfect time for, Greg Roman to stop shutting down his leg and actually, coach his offense, correctly. The last time we matched up against these guys, now, uh, they had different coach at the time, but it was a 40-7 win, right? And I don't think it'll be that this time, right? If we are able to win this game, I remember how I was having a conversation with a Patriots fan, and he asked me, he's like, seriously, how do you think this game will go? And I said, it's two options, right? I believe, well, three options. I think one, we get blown out, right, and we lose. I think two, which is the most likely to happen, it's a defensive matchup, like around maybe 20-23, maybe 19-21, right? And we lose. And there's also that third one where it's a close game, and we just get that interception or that strip sack that just ends the game, and we're able to sneak out of Foxborough with a win. Honestly, if I'm being honest with you, if we're able to win a playoff game, season successful, right? You talk about going like swept Kansas City, pretty much won. I think we went 5-1 in division games this year. If
Hmm.
we're able to end the year with a playoff win, I'm a happy camper. Especially with, like I said, with everything coming into consideration with the injuries that we had, and the amount of amount of uncertainty. If we're able to end the season off like that, man, listen, you can't. Me personally, it's hard for me to ask more of this team.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, especially from a Niners standpoint, where we're the most injured team,
Yeah.
right? Especially with that defenses and everything. Like, look, like you said, like ever since week 2 or week 4, whatever, when players start to drop like flies with Bosa and Warner and all that, I started to be like, you know what? I'm gonna just see how far this team is gonna take me, because as one thing I'll say in this league is that you never take wins for granted, because there are some fans and some like uh fan bases where, like, they never experience winning at all,
Yeah.
right? Where, like, I mean, the Jets had their moments, but let's be honest, it's they're not that good. They're
Oh,
a horrible franchise,
yes.
right? Even with the Browns, right? Remember when the Browns
Mm-hmm.
had Baker Mayfield and they went to the playoffs? That felt like the
Yeah.
Super Bowl to them, like
Mm-hmm.
and all that. And I'm pretty sure they beat the Steelers in the first round or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
So there's that. But yeah, there's like I said, you can't take wins for granted, because some fans or some teams never experience winning in their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if they did, it's been a long, 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 long time, right? And so there's that and the factor, and then it's like, look, for me, my team in the last decade has been to like what, 2 Super Bowls, more mid like 5 NFC championships or something like that, and then some, right? We've always been in the playoffs for. It's like one of those things where we're not in the playoffs or make a deep run into the Super Bowl, right? Or at least the NFC Championship, which
Can't relate.
where it's like, people might say, like, and look, I'm not mad at it, but it's like one of those things where, part of me is like, can we get one over the line? You know what I'm
Yeah. Get
saying?
over the hump.
Eventually,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, over the hump. But it is what it is. But like, I had no expectations for this team ever since the injuries happened,
Mm.
and look at them now. Like, we're in a freaking, like. Let me restate. Like, this NFC West division is probably the this season. It's just so
Mm.
crazy historically, because this is the only time in NFL history where 3 out of the 4 teams in a division has have 12 wins or more. Like, let that sink in. Like, 3 of the 4 teams in your division have 12 wins or more, and the last team are no. Although the Cardinals are a little, a laughing stock, but they still ended up with 7 wins, which it's not that bad compared to the Panthers. They just made it to the playoffs as 8 and 9. To put that into perspective, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's one of those things where, look, I'm happy for where my team is right now. If we get bounced out, it is what it is. We'll roll back next year, right, and try to make another
Yeah.
run.
Yeah. I mean, kind of, piggybacking off of that, man. Like, I can speak from a perspective of a fan of a fan, of a team that is not known for winning. You know what I'm saying? Like, the last time this team won a playoff game, I was a sophomore in high school, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
we're getting close to our mid 20s now, right? So it's just one of those things where you know these last 2 years, even without a playoff win, these last 2 years, if I'm being honest, like this has been some of the best football I've seen from this team in consecutive years, right? Like, especially considering the fact that like this is not a overly talented roster, especially last year. So to see this kind of that what they say the Jim Harbaugh effect, to like actually see it and be a part of it. Listen, man, it's been pretty much every single game, going into it. I felt like my team has had a chance, right? And in years past, there's definitely been weeks where I'm like, okay, we're getting blown out today. Like, so to be able to say, matching up against a number 2 seed and even having like, I think it's about I'm about 60-40, Patriots winning, right? So even just being 40% with the amount of injuries and things of that nature and going up against it in a hard environment, for me to say I still feel kind of 40% chance that this team has a shot. again, like realistically, I know every fan base wants to win the Super Bowl every
Yeah,
year, and every player on the
Cowboys.
team is all pro. And man, listen, like I don't take wins for granted. It feels good to win, have that victory Monday. Like that feels good. So I'm hoping both of our teams are able to, pull it out, right? Both teams are, kind of underdogs going into this. So, you
Yep.
know, listen, man, and if the season ends after this weekend, best believe I will be hate watching the Broncos.
For sure, for sure. But man, that being said, let's go on and tackle the other matchups in the playoffs, right? We can start off with the ones on Saturday. We got the Rams versus the Packers. You know what I'm saying? And Rams versus the Panthers. I'm sorry, right?
Yeah,
Where this is, although on paper they're like, this should be a very easy matchup, but I don't know. I mean,
no,
the Panthers did win against the Rams 31 to 28. I'm
that
just
did
saying,
happen.
huh?
I
Yeah,
forgot that happened.
yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Bryce Young at it again with his late game heroics, somehow
Hmm.
pulling stuff
Forgot about
out of
that. Yeah,
his behind, and just doing the impossible, I guess, right? And who
yeah,
knows? I mean, Stafford threw 2 picks in that game. I mean, I don't know. I give the Panthers an outside chance, but obviously I'm not dumb. The Rams should
yeah.
be able to murder the Panthers. They should be
I
able to,
agree. I
right?
agree.
And like I said, the playoffs is a different monster.
Hmm.
Especially with a coach like Sean McVay, he's been there, done that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
won a Super Bowl.
Exactly. So he's a proven coach. He has a young defense where they're already raring to go. They're
Hmm.
like they've been there. Like I said, just last year or not last year, a couple years ago,
Yeah,
right? And so it should be a pretty easy matchup for them.
yeah.
Um, like, do you even see the Panthers get any chance? Like,
I mean, that's kind of one of the things that we love most about, football, especially come playoff time is, any given Sunday, all it takes is for you to win one game, right? Like
yeah,
it's not like the MLB or NBA where, it's a 7 game series, right? Where typically the better team comes out. All it takes is, one fumble, one pick six, one missed field goal, one missed extra point, and you could find yourself on the wrong side, of a win. So, with that being said, I mean this Rams roster is just too talented, too well coached. That's a hard ask for the Panthers to win this game, right? Like, then that's another thing, right? I feel like expectations matter, right? Like I feel like when we're looking at the resumes of coaches or quarterbacks, because that's typically who we assign wins and losses to, we got to, dive into the records of some of these wins and some of these losses, right? In my opinion, losing as an underdog, like you were expected to lose, right? Like you
yeah,
don't have as good of a team, right? So I don't want anybody to, if the Panthers, do end up in fact losing, I don't want anybody to kind of sweep under the rug of how amazing, Bryce has been this season, right? Like he's completely turned around my perspective on him and his career. Like I believe that the Panthers might have a guy, right? So no matter how this playoff game goes, like listen, man, like they weren't expected to be here. They were not expected to win a division, let alone make the playoffs. So for them to be in a position like this, if they can at least somewhat keep it close, man, like their future looks bright. But kind of on the flip side of that, man, if the Rams somehow lose this game, that is a stain on the resume. You know what I'm saying? Like I know you're hoping and wishing for it because
I know,
man,
man.
that is the upset of all upsets. Like if we're looking at kind of all the games in the playoffs this year, that would be the biggest upset, right? So yeah, I mean ultimately you got Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams and those
Yeah,
running backs, Sean McVay, in my opinion, the MVP of the league, and Matthew Stafford. They should be able to win that game.
yeah, for sure. Like I said, me being a divisional rival to the Rams, always had that little hatred. I just want to take a little jab at them.
Hmm.
But I'm not stupid, of course. Like the Rams definitely should win that easily. But yeah, let's move on to the next game on that Saturday slate. We got the Packers versus the Bears,
Division
where
matchup.
it's kind of interesting. I mean, the Packers, they're benching their starting QB, to play their backup, and the backup is Jordan Love. I don't know how that happens, but you know,
Shots fired.
I don't know how that happens, but it should be a very interesting game. It's obviously it's a divisional game. I'm pretty sure that I think split the season series. I think
Oh, the Bears won both
they won
games.
both. Okay, yeah, they won both. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is that the Packers on defense. Oh, but actually, no. Both sides of the ball, they have key players that are
Oh no, they
injured.
did. They did split. They did
They
split.
split.
They
Okay,
did
yeah.
split.
I thought so. I thought the Packers won the first
I
game
think did they
or the
beat?
second. The fifth.
Maybe was it I think the Bears swept the Lions. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Probably the Lions. Yeah, but yeah, like I said,
Both
like
close games.
hmm yeah, but yeah, like I said, like the Packers. It's hard because coming to just beginning of the season, they were one of the Super Bowl favorites, just mainly because they got that Micah trade, right?
Yeah.
But Micah, he had his horrific injury. Praise up for him. Hope he's doing well with his rehab. Looks like he's being able to, I guess use his legs a little bit more now. So that's good. But that's I think for the Packers, it's a matter of fact that it's all geared up for next season. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I think there might be a little bit pressure for Matt LaFleur to win this game because I feel like this could be his Packers career on the line. Where if especially in the way he loses his game, or just like in the
Yeah, I
way he
think that
wins,
matters. Yeah.
yeah, it really matters because obviously if he wins, yeah, he goes through. But like if he loses, depending on how he loses, he might get outed, bro. Like
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure in the last pod that we had, we talked about like coaches on the hot seat, and I said Matt LaFleur because I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. I was like the Packers are that one team where like you don't really talk about that much about because they've been dominating the division
Mhm.
besides the lines and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But there's that one team in the division where like it's like they're stable, but like I feel like there's wrinkles in that from even from last year where the Jordan Love like we all know this, he's shown streaks of like playing at that very high level, but
Mhm.
he's shown streaks of performing at one of the worst quarterbacks. You know,
Yeah.
and that's why I said I led off with this matchup with benching the starting QB for the backup, but it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, looking at this matchup, I mean the Bears, obviously, won their division. The Ben Johnson effect, man, like he's
Mm,
completely turned that team around. Similar to the Patriots. There's a couple chinks in the armor. You know what I mean? They've beat some good teams. Their defense has, improved, but their defense can be had. That defense is very, sack and interception dependent, right? They will give up plays, they will give up yards, they will give up points, right? So if you're able to take care of the football, we just saw that, that crazy matchup against you guys and the Bears,
yeah,
like, right? Like where it was a shootout, came down to the very last play. The Bears are, they're susceptible to a shootout, right? But just when it comes down to it, man, if we're talking about both teams fully healthy, I might be picking the Packers in this matchup. But you talk about not having Micah Parsons, potentially not having Josh Jacobs in this game. Like again, you're asking a lot of this team, right? Like so. I mean, ultimately, listen, it's a division game, so really anything can happen. But just looking at it, if I had to predict, man, I'm going Chicago.
yeah. I probably have to go with the same. Um, Chicago, they've been on a roll. Ben Johnson, arguably a coach of the year candidate, right? Definitely, I feel like he should be a finalist in my opinion, especially being a
Yeah.
rookie head coach. And
Mhm.
we'll get into this later, but there's another coach we haven't talked about yet, Liam Cohen. He's been really good as well. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the Bears they have everything right in front of them. But the main thing is that for Caleb Williams to win his first playoff game, being a number one
Yeah,
overall pick, there's pressure on him.
so
The
close to
first
4,000 yards.
I know he was very close. Yeah. If only he completed that pass in the end zone, right? Against the Niners. But, yeah, it happens. It is what it is. But no, yeah. Yeah, being number one pick, he has pressure on him to, get playoff success as soon as possible. Right. And it all starts with just this Saturday. And so it's gonna be interesting how he plays. Like I said, like he isn't the most accurate QB. I'm pretty sure he completes like about 50 something percent of his
Yeah,
passes. But all the passes that he does complete, those are like big plays and like, going down for touchdowns and stuff like that, right? But, it's going to be interesting on how the Packers defend him. And if Caleb Williams, if he shows hiccups in the playoffs, because Jordan Love, whatever you want to call it, he has been in the playoffs, right?
yeah,
So it's a matter. I feel like, in my opinion, this game will be going down to which QB makes the first slip up. Whoever slips up first is ultimately going to give the other team's offense another chance on the field to score points, right?
yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah. I mean, kind of, I guess flipping over to the rest of the AFC matchups. I guess we could start with number four, number five, man. Steelers and Texans. Very, very interesting matchup, man.
yeah,
Like, just stylistically, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, the scariest team in the playoffs to me, is the Texans, man. That
yes,
defense
100%.
scares the shit out of me. Like, listen, I know Aaron Rodgers, he's not looking forward to playing against that defense, man. They're very disciplined. They hit hard, they tackle well, they take the ball away. Like, they make you earn every yard, right? So it's gonna be interesting to see, if they're gonna be able to do enough to get past that defense, man. Because the thing about the Texans, right? Like, they're weakest on, obviously, on their offense, right? Their offense has been inconsistent really all year. But it's kind of, if they're able to start clicking on that side of the ball, right? If Nico Collins and those boys are able to start clicking, right? They're a tough out. They are a tough out. Like, again, obviously, I think most teams in the playoffs this year, like, no real team is like 100% complete this year. Like, it really does feel like, you can make a case for any of the teams, maybe besides the Panthers, to make it to the Super Bowl and ultimately win it, right? So it's just one of those things where everybody has a weakness and everybody has something you can take advantage of, right? So it's going to come down to the Steelers defense keep up their play, right? I'm not sure if TJ Watt is I think TJ Watt is
Yeah,
healthy.
he's good. He's good.
So
Yeah.
if he's playing, he's an impact player. Obviously they got Jalen Ramsey in their corners. Have been making plays, and that defense has looked better in the back half of this season. So it's gonna be interesting to see both these inconsistent offenses if they're able to get going, because I think that will be the key to winning. So, gun to my head, and you're making me choose. I think I go with Houston with the upset, man. I think Houston,
You think it's an upset?
I think I think it's close enough where I give the benefit of the doubt to the home team, right? Like, the Steelers being home, the Texans, really going on, that's not a short flight, going from Houston to Pittsburgh. So, it'll probably be colder. Like, I think I have to go, with the Texans with this one, but I think it'll be close.
Yeah, it definitely will be close. Right before what I get, right before I get into what I'm about to talk about, you talked about Jalen Ramsey and about how the defense has been, ramping up and like playing a lot better in the back half of the season. I will say this though, Jalen Ramsey in that last game of the season on the line, you can't lie. He got cooked. He got barbecue chicken. Like every time he was targeted or it was going his way, like you can see him like he was slipping out of his own shoes,
Yeah.
pretty much, right? And I'm not saying that he's a bad player. It's just that
No.
he's prone to make mistakes. He's a lot older now, right? He's not the young prime Jalen Ramsey that we all know and love, but he's still
Hmm.
Jalen Ramsey, and I get it. You have to have that respect, but you know, I feel like if you compare the defenses between the Steelers and the Texans, I feel like the Steelers have more mistakes in them. Plain blank and
Hmm.
simple. Where I feel like it's easier to exploit them than the Texans, because the Texans on every level of the defense, they're just so like sound, bro. Like they're so good. Like and funny enough, both of our teams played them actually this year, right?
Yeah.
And I know that the Niners only scored 3 points against the Seahawks, but even then, the Texans still scared me, even though we scored 1 point,
Yes. For
because
sure.
that defense, it's like one of those things where like they have two shutdown corners with Kamari
Hmm.
Lassiter and Derek Stingley, who's
Hmm.
making conversations to be probably the best cornerback in the league. Him and PS2, who knows? I don't know.
Listen, man.
There's definitely talks about that shit. But
LSU, man, stand up, dog.
yes, sir. But yeah, the way that D'Amico Ryans has taken this defense and brought it to a whole different level is just mind-boggling, right? And
Hmm.
we seen in flashes where he wasn't with the Niners and everything, right? And going to the Texans, he's done a phenomenal job, right?
Hmm.
It's one of two ways, or where I look at it, where I say whoever wins this game is going to depend which defenses makes the most turnover, like causes the most turnovers,
Hmm.
right? And I feel like there will be turnovers. I think it's going to be a
For
very
sure.
sloppy game. It's going to be very
Hmm.
sloppy. And depending on the weather, I know that's going to be raining these past few days. If it's raining I think they play on Sunday, I believe. They probably play on Sunday. Or no, Monday. I think it's Monday actually. Monday Night Football.
So let me see. Let me see. They play. Yes, Monday. Monday Night
Yeah, if
Football.
if if, if it's raining that day, it's going to be even more uglier, right?
Hmm.
And so from that point on, it could be a thing where instead of defense, it's going to be which quarterback do you depend on more, and it's tough. It's very tough because
Very close.
I want to say Rogers, but like Rogers, he is in his 40s, and if it's a cold weather or rain game, who knows? Anything flies at that point, right? But at the end of the day, I do have to give it to the Texans just because like their defense I think is way better. And I think that the Steelers defense has more ways to be exploited, right? And
Hmm.
yeah, it's just I just have the Texans to win it because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. In this final matchup, Bills Jaguars. Man, man. Like I mean, if I'm being honest with you, like I feel like we are in for a really good playoffs, man. Like in just terms of just team matchups and
It's perfect.
like I
It's
said, it's
perfect.
it's every game. It can go either way. Like it can go either way. So looking at this, man, you got the Bills, Josh Allen. We know, who he is, what that team is. How much playoff experience they have. These last couple years, they really struggled getting over the hump. And it's just kind of crazy that like the one season that like all the teams that have given them problems, the Ravens and the Chiefs and the Bengals, all three of those teams, they're not here. Right? They're not in the dance. They don't have a ticket to the dance. And the one year, all those teams have struggled, they don't even win their division. So it's crazy, right? But honestly, if there's any, wild card team that I think could go on a run, it is the Bills. But at the same time, you looking at that, the other side of the sideline, you got Liam Cohen. He got those boys balling, man. They have some very impressive wins on their resume. Like wholeheartedly. Like I did not expect for this team, to be playing, at the level that they're at, have the record that they have. Like they're kind of like on the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of them and the Patriots, where if I'm not mistaken, I think they have the same record, but
Yeah, I
like
think so.
the Jaguars have so many more, and impressive wins on their resume to where it's like, man, like outside of the Texans, the Jaguars, I did not want to see. Like both, I did not want to see the Jaguars, man. Like Trevor Lawrence, right? Like I've been a doubter. I've been a Trevor Lawrence doubter. I will say that. But this season, man, like he has, um, Liam Cohen has definitely revitalized his career, really, been able to show all those flashes and potential that we saw at Clemson. Right. So that offense is moving and grooving. That defense is making plays and flying around. So I feel like if you're asking me to take names out of it and just look at the football, the Jaguars should win this game, but man, I mean, it's hard for
Josh
me to bet
Allen.
against 17, man. Like it's hard for me to bet against Josh Allen. Like he is one of the elite quarterbacks in this league where he can 100% take over a game. We've seen it before. We've seen him take over playoff games. So, and I think I'm gonna have to go with the Bills with the upset, man. I think the Bills get it done.
I agree 100% with everything you just said. The Jaguars are one of those teams where, like, like they did win 13 games, right? And they definitely had some impressive wins, especially that one late in the season against the Broncos, right? That was a
Mhm.
big game, right? Where I think both of them were trying to fight for the first seed at that point, right? But yeah, it's funny because like all the things you said, I agree with. But at the same time, I still have my doubts. I
Yeah.
still have my doubts. Maybe
Mhm.
because like I just need to see, like I need to see it in playoff time. I just need to see it
Yeah.
because this might be a hot take. Am I maybe still a little bit salty from the game earlier in the season? Yeah, maybe, just maybe. I don't think that defense is as good as people say it is. I think like
I don't think
for
that's
for
crazy
what
to say.
like for what it is, obviously, like I think they cause like I think the top three or top four, top three or top five, in like causing turnovers,
Hmm.
right? But I don't know. There's something with that team where like I just don't trust it. I just
Hmm.
don't trust it when it comes to playoffs. And with you picking against with the Bills, I gotta pick the Bills as well because you know gun to my head, season on the line. I'm trusting 17. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Josh Allen, he's gonna put on that Superman cape. He's gonna get it done. No matter what. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there has been cases where he put his team on his back, but the defense fails to help
Hmm.
him out, right? Like I said, it's one of those games where the Jaguars should win, but it's one of those things where the bill like it's just one of the where like expect the unexpected, pretty much, right? And I'll you know what I'll say this: I'm not a betting person. I don't
Hmm.
bet, right? But I have a hot take. I have a hot take, and
Okay.
my hot take is that I don't think this has ever been done in NFL history, right? But book it this wild card week. Every every away team, which is like the lower seed, all lower seeds are going to win.
Mm,
No top seed is going to win. All the top seeds are
that
going to
that
lose,
would be interesting. That would be
and I
interesting.
can
I
see it
mean,
happening. I can see it
uh,
happening.
I call you crazy, but I could also see that happening.
It's not crazy,
Going
yeah.
going back to our previews for our teams, like it's hard for me to make that jump out the window and make that prediction. But I'd be lying if I said that come Tuesday that I'm surprised that what you said come to fruition. Like this is one of the most wide open the league has been, when it comes to playoff time, right? Like you can make a case for every single team outside of the Panthers making it to the Super Bowl and winning. Like I'm sorry, Panthers fans. Listen, let's be honest with ourselves. Like, um, every team, again, like every team has strengths, every team has weaknesses. Every team has good wins, every team has bad wins on the record, right? So this is going to be very interesting to see. Come round two. Who showed out. Who fell on their face. Who potentially is getting fired.
Yeah.
But with that being said, man, like this is gonna be some really good football, man. So I'm hoping you guys are tuning in, and I'm curious to see what you guys have to say in the comment section down below, right? Like, first of all, did your team make the playoffs, right? If they did, or if they didn't, how do you feel like the season went? And if they did make the playoffs, how do you feel like they're gonna do, right? I know we have a lot of Eagles fans that that watch our podcast, so definitely drop it down in the comment section below if playing against the 49ers, how do you guys feel going into this game, man? So we definitely want to hear from you guys. We appreciate all the love and support. You guys have been giving our content, how infrequently as it is. So with that being said, man, it's been a no bullshit podcast. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.